However you may be making us part of your day, thanks so much. I'm Doug Gottlieb, filling in for Colin Cowherd, the supremely talented and just cool to hang out with,
thanks,
Christine
Doug.
Leahy.
You're cool to hang out with also.
I know. I'm a good hang.
Wait a minute. I was just going to say I respect your shoe game, and then I looked down and I saw that you're not wearing any.
I actually, no, my shoes are nice. I got these Flyknit Air Force Ones.
Those are great.
But I'm so comfortable in here. I took my shoes off. I'm watching the ball games. I'm talking to you. I'm hanging out with people. I got juice. I got coffee. I got my phone hooked up. I'm so at home here.
That's great.
I'm just, it's awesome. So I did take off my shoes. I apologize. If you smell something
I don't. I'm far enough away from you. I can't smell anything over here.
That was me. I want to get to Richard Sherman and why he's doing the thing that Christine can, I'm sure, relate to on some level. He's doing the thing that men should never do.
Okay, what's that?
I'll tell you in a second. It's what's called a tease.
Oh,
get that in one. Get in 1 second. I do want to period stop on the Trae Young thing. So if you don't know who Trae Young is, he's a freshman. Played at Oklahoma. They lost in overtime to Rhode Island in the first game yesterday. And he led the country in scoring and assists as a freshman. It's never happened before. Now, some of it is we need to relook how we look at stats because he dominated the ball so much that the stats become skewed. It's much like James Harden or last year Russell Westbrook. You know, when every play emanates from your hands on a high percentage of possessions, you're going to score more points. You're going to have more assists. You're going to have more turnovers because there's just more. There's more possessions in games now. So I'm not completely trying to assail his stats. I'm just trying to give them context. If you play a 90-possession game and you dominate the basketball, you're going to have better stats than a team that plays a 70-possession game and they play more of a team game. Trae Young started like a house of fire and petered out at the end. He actually didn't play terribly yesterday, played quite well within himself, took a couple of terrible threes in overtime, couldn't really get in the lane, and Oklahoma succumbed to E.C. Matthews and Danny Hurley's Rhode Island Rams. Since February 10th, he shot below 40% from the field and below 27% from three-point range. People started to figure him out. And so now the big question is, do you go pro, right? And there's this assumption that, oh, yeah, he's got to go pro. Everybody's got to go pro. If you don't go pro, there's something wrong with you. That's kind of how we've made these players feel, like they're somehow inferior to guys that do decide to become NBA players. What's fascinating to me is here's a player who grew up, like so many young players, idolizing Steph Curry. You know, people think of Steph Curry's run to the Elite Eight as the moments before he declared for the NBA draft. Steph Curry did not declare for the NBA draft after going to the Elite Eight and nearly taking down Kansas. He declared, and that was his sophomore year, it was after his junior season when they went to the NIT that Steph Curry declared for the NBA draft. And yours truly did not think he would be an NBA superstar. No, I didn't. Sorry. But for whatever reason, we have decided that if you come back or somehow there's this magic elixir in improvement that you can only sip from the cup of improvement if you go to the NBA. Like you go to the NBA, and boom, now you're becoming better. You stay in college, you're not better. Trey Burke would differ. There are people that bring up Jay Williams, former Duke player, number 2 pick of the Chicago Bulls. Remember, he won a national championship during his sophomore year, came back for his junior year, struggled at the free throw line, and people picked him apart. He went second in the NBA draft. So at worst, by returning to Duke and getting his degree in 3 years and trying to win back-to-back national titles, something that only Duke and Florida has done in the modern era of college basketball. At worst, he dropped 1 spot in the draft. 1. Trey Burke helped his stack. But more importantly, is he ready emotionally? Is he ready for the physicality? Like if you can't get better and better as the season goes on against Big 12 competition, and I played in the league, I'm a fan of the league, but there's not NBA guards in that league. And he got worse. And his confidence was hurt. What happens when you're playing against men in the NBA when they're going to expose your weaknesses? and you potentially lose that confidence. It doesn't mean it won't work if he goes to the league, but isn't there a higher hit rate if you stay in college, work in your body, work in your game? Maybe your stats aren't as good. Maybe people take shots at your game. He ain't going to drop very far. He can still shoot. He'll still be able to pass, and there's a pretty good chance he'll be quicker, stronger, and more active and a better finisher. Andrew Luck stayed an extra year. How'd that work out? Marcus Mariota stayed an extra year. How'd it work out? There's this narrative that either you leave or they pick you apart and somehow you fall. And that just isn't accurate. And it's not like he plays a sport to which injury is really an issue. His dad, Rayford Young, who was a really good player, I played against him. He played Texas Tech when I was at Oklahoma State, said, as much as I would like to see him grow and mature and continue playing in college, I think the type of season he had, it scares me to think of him coming back and not duplicating it and having to deal with the backlash of that. It is what it is. I'm going to be honest. If he comes back and he doesn't lead the country in points and assists again, he's averaging 30 and 10, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Nothing. You still go to the NBA, but you'll be more ready to contribute right away. Ray should know this, okay, because he was an NBA player, and I was an NBA player, and fighting your way through the minor leagues and coming off the bench when you've never come off the bench, or fighting your way against men to kind of make it in the league, that's a hard deal. It's better off to be absolutely go to finishing school 1 more year or 2 more years. There is no penalty for returning to school and having an unbelievable college career. But unfortunately, we've decided that you're somehow a failure if you don't leave early. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, NBA teams that want to lose, what do? They play their young players because they know the young players can't really compete when you want to win games. All right, let me get to Richard Sherman. So Richard Sherman, the man who negotiated his own contract to leave the Seattle Seahawks, after getting cut by the Seahawks, he went out and negotiated a deal with the San Francisco 49ers. He went on the Tomahawk, my bad. That was a Ron Burgundy moment right there. But
that's okay.
I'm Ron Burgundy. He went on the Tomahawk podcast. I didn't know it was, never mind. Tomahawk podcast to discuss the changing philosophy in Seattle. Take a listen.
It was kind of philosophical on his part. You know, a lot of us have been there for 6, 7, 8 years. And his philosophy is more built for college. You know, just 4 years, guys rotate in, rotate out. And so, you know, we had kind of heard all the stories. We had kind of heard all this, you know, every story, every funny anecdote that he had. And, you know, and honestly, because he just recycles them. And they're cool stories, and they're great for team chemistry and building, et cetera, et cetera. But we had literally heard them all. We could recite them.
This sounds incredibly condescending. Now, look, part of it was he was on the Tomahawk podcast, but part of it was here he is married to, or at least dating a new woman, and he's talking about his ex. That's what he's doing. He's talking about his ex, and he's like, you know what? I've done all that. You know, it was all the same. Every dinner conversation was the same. Every commingling after dinner was the same. It just right, like he was patronizing Pete Carroll, who won a Super Bowl and should have won a second Super Bowl. Completely turned around the Seattle Seahawks. And if what he's doing in got rid of Darrell Bevell, their offensive coordinator, Chris Richard gone, Michael Bennett gone, Richard Sherman gone, Jimmy Graham gone, Paul Richardson gone, Sheldon Richardson gone. Like, honestly, was Richard Sherman the only one who did not know that they needed a change? They were down 42-0 to the LA Rams. 42-0 to the LA Rams at home, Seattle, 12th man. Arguably considered the most difficult place in the National Football League, to play. And if you think that the rest, you can judge Pete Carroll's intelligence in terms of letting go of these players based upon what he got in return, not much for Michael Bennett, and what Richard Sherman got in the open market. If he's giving away gold in Richard Sherman, why did Richard Sherman sign a 1-year team-friendly deal that might be worth $7 million? Why? Because the rest of the league believes that the Seahawks are old and that their parts needed to be refreshed. Like, he didn't want Cliff Averill to hurt his neck, you know? He didn't want that to happen. Cam Chancellor, he didn't want these guys to potentially retire. But this has become a young man's league. Richard Sherman's not wrong. You do need to turn over your roster every 4 to 5 years because the amount of physical contact you take, the beating you take, Richard Sherman's own body broke down on him. He tore his Achilles tendon. No one has any idea what he's going to look like when he plays. He's not going to be ready to work out until August. Here's an interesting thought on Richard Sherman. Here's an interesting thought Richard Sherman had about a Hall of Famer at the end of his career.
They say maybe this guy's going to be the next guy instead of saying you have Hall of Fame talents in your secondary. How about you ride this out? It'd be like Pittsburgh saying, Troy Polamalu is great. Let's figure out what this guy behind it is. Let's cut Troy and figure it out from there.
How did it end up for the Pittsburgh Steelers when they rode out Troy Polamalu? Right? 2011, after the knee injury, he came back and was an all-pro, but then it was off the cliff. When guys age, they go off the cliff. And I tend to believe that if the Seahawks, remember, Richard Sherman called the Seahawks, he's like, hey, man, here's the San Francisco deal. Do you want me? They're like, no. In addition to which, let's be honest, Richard Sherman's a pain in the ass, right? You call out your offensive coordinator for his play calling when you're a defensive player, and then you're a borderline guy in terms of if they want to bring you back because of the money that you make, and you tear your Achilles tendon, bye-bye. If you don't think that plays a part in it, you're crazy. But like Richard Sherman is doing that thing where he's talking about the ex-girlfriend. I understand he went on a podcast because he wants to defend himself and say, look, this is a philosophical thing. It's not a talent thing. He's saying, I still got it. Don't worry about it. I'm in San Francisco. Like, here's a dude who's vengeful. That's why you say I'm with San Francisco. Here's a dude who's arrogant. That's why you negotiate a contract yourself. He's one of those guys that everybody's told is really smart. He's really smart for a football player.
Whoa.
No, he's really smart for a football player. You know what I couldn't do? I can't operate the cameras. I can't produce this TV show. I've never done that before. The first time you negotiate a contract, it's going to be your own contract and possibly your last contract in the NFL. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. You hire a guy who's a professional agent to negotiate your contract. That's what you do. He's smart at football. He's probably smart at life. But there's a specific skill requirement and a level of experience needed to negotiate. Everyone I've talked to in the NFL is like, dude, that's not a good deal he signed. He got fleeced because he's an amateur walking into a professional game. That's what happens. They're like, oh, that's a great idea. Represent yourself. No middleman. No funny stuff. They're like, hold on a second. We'll be right back with your contract offer. They close the door and they're like, up top.
You don't think
that's what I'm talking about.
A lawyer look at it? I bet a lawyer looked at it.
A lawyer might have looked at the details of the contract, but the actual way in which you negotiate and how you get interest from around the league, there was no leverage created. He created zero leverage. Remember, here's what the media said. He might visit San Diego. San Diego. He might visit the Chargers. The Chargers had 3 cornerbacks last year. They had to pay one of them. They didn't want Richard Sherman. There's no interest. If you're going to create leverage, you got to go visit that place and get an offer. Then visit another place and get an offer. You don't sign with the first place you go to. Nobody does that unless they give you a home run offer.
Maybe he really liked them and it wasn't all about the money. Does it have to always be about the money?
Oh,
do you have to date a million people just to find the right one?
So why didn't you take a pay cut to Seattle? Why didn't you say, look, I'll play for whatever. It's not about.
Because maybe clearly he wanted to leave because he didn't feel so great about it.
I think they wanted him. They thought they might want him. Remember, he was on the trade block. If anybody wanted to come and pay that freight last year, they could have had him in the offseason. And then he said some things this year. Then he tore his Achilles tendon, and they had a disappointing year. They got beat up at times. They needed a change. But the idea of trying to hey, this is when you say college guy to an NFL coach who's won a Super Bowl, okay, that is a slight. Mm-hmm. He's a college guy. That's not a term of endearment. That's like telling a coach he's an interim coach, not a real coach. That's not a teacher. It's a substitute teacher. Right? And he's not a police officer. He's a security guard. That's what he's saying about Pete Carroll. Right? we've heard all his stories. He's a college guy. That college stuff works. Like, or he saw that his team was old. Everybody knew they needed a change. They got obliterated by the Rams, 42-7, down 42-0. They got embarrassed. The Rams are getting better. The Niners are getting better. Arizona's kind of caught in the middle. And he knew he had to make a change. That's it. That's all this is about. It's just a business decision. But instead, Richard Sherman is taking shots at his ex, which anyone who's been on a date, and I'm sure you have, with somebody who has an ex, it's the last thing you want to know about.
Yeah, if they start talking about the ex on the first date, that's out.
Yeah. Deuces. All right, listen, men, if you want to date Christine, now you know. Don't talk about the ex.
At least in the first date, then I want to know.
You were dating women, right? We're dating women.
No,
everybody, nobody in prison. Nobody.
You want to know why they broke up because it tells you a lot about what you could be getting yourself into. You hope
just
they're
not on the first date.
Yeah, because you don't want them to be like bashing their ex, because that's bad. That means they're not over it, or something crazy happened.
Well, that's clearly he's not over it.
And
you
don't
not
want them to be still in love with their ex.
Yeah, I think he's still in love with the idea of the ex, not.
But I don't know if this is true in this case. I think it's very possible that maybe he feels like he was slighted by Pete Carroll, and he wants to expose the truth.
Right. That's what I say. He's still not over it.
Well, that doesn't mean
bitter.
you're not over it.
Pete Carroll says
it means
just
you want
bitter.
to even the playing field.
Okay. So you're kind of into the talking about the ex. You're kind of into this conversation.
It just depends. It depends on the situation. I can see both sides.
Way to take a strong stand there, Christine.
I know, I'm sorry. It's not my hot take of the day. I can see both sides.
Coming up next, Kirk Cousins is the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. He's the highest paid player in the National Football League. But he's about to face something in Minnesota he hasn't faced in his career. I'll tell you what it is next. But first, can you imagine taking a car on a 100-day test drive or getting a pair of new shoes and having 100 days to walk around and feel comfortable? Just feel how comfortable they are? Well, that's what Casper's doing, giving you 100 nights to test Casper mattress in your own home with their 100-night sleep challenge. Seriously, think about it. 100 nights. I did it, and now I get a great night's sleep every night. The Casper mattress is a unique combination of foams to provide the night pressure relief and alignment so you're perfectly balanced and comfortable. It ships for free right to your door in the How They Do It size box. And don't sweat it if you don't love it. They'll come and pick it up for free, even give you a refund. Take Casper's 100-night sleep challenge, and you'll love your mattress as much as I love mine, guaranteed. Right now, go to Casper.com, use the code HERD, save $50 off on select mattresses. That code is HERD at Casper.com. Remember, $50 off, thanks to Uncle Colin. Go to select mattresses, on select mattresses. Casper.com, code is HERD, terms and conditions apply.
Stewie reveals his shocking secrets.
You freaking hear that?